All right, so part 2 here. Yeah, the fenders, they were one headlight per.
Yeah, I for planting and cultivating, I like an extra light on, so we put those on years ago. Yeah, and the IH, the factory wiring is not the most reliable in the world, so it's like at least you had a plan B. If you run out of one set of lights, you had another set.
Yep.
So, but we ran them a lot. I used to actually have another light underneath here when I was planting stuff with it, but we took them off. But
So it's fieldwork duties then when you first got it. It was so.
we use it spring and fall. I mean, we did. I mean, and even like I said, summertime hauling dropper box like that. As it planted all the corn up until, I don't know. I suppose mid '80s when we had a 6-row planter. When we planted a 6-row, I planted with this, and when I went to the 12-row, we went to a Magnum. So I don't remember what year that was now, but it used to do all the planting and stuff. But in fact, that still got a factory set of duals in the Ford that I could put on it.
Kind of that off-white color, almost greenish, sort of.
Yeah. So we used to run duals when we planted corn with it. It just seemed more stable in the hills and stuff. But
it didn't have duals with it when you bought it.
It did not have duals. I bought it. I bought a set later. So.
And for those that don't know, your family farm was literally up the street from the international dealer here.
Yeah, it was literally a block and a half away. I mean, that's how close we were. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
So did the boys at Julian Walsingham get a little crabby that you picked up a 1066 somewhere else? Or?
No, I mean, they didn't say too much about it. Jerry Van Holcomb was a good friend of mine. He was a head mechanic over at Julian Walsingham for years, and he went to when Value bought it out. They stayed there, but he's retired now. But he kind of helped me with when I first got into this, how to turn the pump up and that kind of stuff. They were fine with it. That didn't bother them any. So.
Which another neighbor of ours did want me to bring up talking about this, that Jerry helped them set up their 1066, Chad and Larry set up their black stripe, and he said they got you one time at the fair, and Jerry was pretty pumped about that too. Because even though, and you knew Don, I talk about Don a lot in my videos, that Don is the one that showed me how to get into a pump.
Sure.
Larry would not let me anywhere near his 1066. It had to be Jerry Van Holcomb, and that was it.
Yeah, Jerry's going to show me all, and then Jerry Nicolai out of Hastings showed me some more stuff on it, and basically we bought an RPM spring for it, and then I ran into a gentleman at Toma one time just sitting in the audience, and we started talking with tractor pulling, and he told me about how to cut the delivery valve in the pump, and it woke it up pretty good. So it's like a lot of little things, that just helped. And it's been a 414 this whole life. Some guys made a 466 or 436 out. We always left it a 414. So
and really, in all the farm stock tractor pulling, I almost thought a 10 was all pull a 14 because it seemed like the 414 wound up a little faster.
Yeah, I know. We used to pull with Greg Marks, they had the 14, and they got that running really good. They found a little different turbo for it and a different pump and stuff on it. I could get them once in a while, and like I say, you maybe sneak up the turf duster once in a while, but not very often. But in the lighter class, I was pretty good, or I could do pretty good with it. But Howard Larson had a 44,000 that was really tough back in the day. Bless his heart, he's gone now. But Howard and Mike, they were tough as they come to pull against. And then there was a Dave Berglund up by. He was up by St. Croix Falls, Amory area. They had a 4320 with a combine motor with an inline pump on it that ran pretty good. My problem was to get this to balance in the 9,000 pound class. It was so heavy in the nose, and I never did go to the fiberglass front end on it. So that was when I got on a sandy or gravelly track. I had a little tougher time competing with them guys. But then we changed the drawbar system around, and Dad kind of gave me one piece of advice. He didn't dislike my pulling, but he wasn't 100% supportive of pulling. But he said, if you're going to go dig 2 holes, stay home. So I was like, well, we figured we had to do something different. So we changed the drawbar around, and we could get a good hook out of it on the poorer tracks and stuff. So
9,000 was tough as far as like almost the 06s and the 56s, like 12 O's and 12 50s and 14 56s almost did because they were a little bit lighter
A
tractor.
little bit lighter tractor, had more weight to play with. This one was stripped. There was times I'd take the batteries out to make 9,000 pounds if you had a tight scale. I mean, you'd actually start the tractor and pull the batteries out and weigh it, and then that's what we did. I mean, at one time up at Sun Prairie, I'd take one front tire off. I mean, that's how close it was to 9,000 pounds. So I was like, used to go on a diet every spring too, to make sure you make weight. So,
that gets tougher as time goes by.
I guess tougher as time goes by. Yes. Yeah.
Billet aluminum's easier than losing weight.
Probably not as good for you, but it's easier. So.
Right. Now that weight bracket here, was that on? Did it have any weights with it?
It did not have any weights with it. That bracket I bought from Richard Knight actually, and that is it's a 12 weight bracket. I mean, it's a factory IH bracket, but they make Richard told me there's two different ones. It actually is a deeper one made without the blocks, or you buy the blocks and put this one on. So
that's a guy that is kind of missed.
I really miss Richard. He was a wealth of knowledge. He really was. And when I overhauled this tractor the first time, I bought the parts from him, and he kind of walked me through it, and he was a wealth of knowledge. So.
And he could build a pull-in tractor out of just about nothing.
Yes, he could. And if anybody needed work on a Roostermaster pump, that was a guy. He could fix the Roostermaster pump. I don't care if it's your 6.2 Chevy diesel pickup or your 560 or 806 or whatever. He could fix it, and he could fix it cheap.
And I would say he was an international guy, but he pulled co-ops.
Alice.
He had a 2-cylinder unstyled John Deere A that sounded pretty much like it was a 6-cylinder. It was revved up so hard. And, I think that's still alive. I think Johnny Roll has it.
Yeah, I'm not sure where that went. The 560, I don't know where we got that either. The 460 went to Jim Langer. The 560, I don't know where that went. The 560 was a propane burner. That was a good running tractor.
Yeah. Yep. And speaking of 560s, you guys got 560 family tractor.
We have a 560. The boys have a 560 that they inherited from the grandpa. Yeah, that was it was a farmer out by Prescott at one time had it, and then it had a new motor in it, and then my dad bought it from Julian Walsingham. It had a knock in their end, and Julian Walsingham had a junk 560 back there, and me and another friend of mine, we said that was our first experience of doing a rear end job, so we pulled the parts out of that and put in that one, the turbo one. So that had an M&W turbo on it also. So.
Yeah, I remember that narrow front with the turbo stickers on it. It's a pretty sharp looking tractor.
It was. It needs paint job again now, but that's another one that's probably not going to go anywhere. That was, boys got it on their feed mill now, grinding feed a couple times a week. So.
And we mentioned the 1486 that your uncle had a tri-stripe.
Yep.
1486.
Yeah, 81, 1486. Yeah.
And the part of that tractor is still alive, right?
The block is still in the corner of my shop. I had it for pulling in my hyper harvester up until 2020. Yeah, we put it in there, and that's been a good run of motor. But that's probably a block I'm not going to get rid of. That's going to stay here. So. Yep.
That was quite a tractor back in its day too.
That was a good run tractor. And then my uncle was actually he was in a nursing home. We had congestive heart failure and stuff. And I said, Ralph, I got a dyno appointment. We just got that motor together, and I said, I got a dyno appointment. You're gonna kind of take off for a couple of days. And, yeah, go ahead. He says, and he was always really supportive of pulling and stuff. But anyway, he went down there and we dynoed, and I had 3 days booked, and we made a first pass, and my dyno can come out. He came out of the office. He says, go home. I said, what do you mean go home? He says, that thing's rocking. He says, go home. He says, that's the best running super farm he'd ever dynoed at that time. So, and I come back and I told my uncle that. He says, that 14 always did run good. He says, it kind of meant something to me when he, that's kind of why we're going to keep the thing, So.
Oh, Ralph was a cool guy.
Ralph was a very good-hearted guy. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, he was a very good-hearted guy. But like I said, his glass was always half full. He was a pretty positive guy all the time.
He was. Yeah. And good cow man.
Yeah, very good cow man. Yeah, he had one of the better herds in Pierce County for quite a few years, and a lot of Canadian blood there. I mean, actually, his neighbor to the west there still has some of the bloodline there in his herd and stuff. But so I can pick them out. Yeah, I'm not a cow man, but I can pick them out because they're big cows. So, yeah.
Well, is there anything else you want to say about this whole 10? Or is this probably your favorite tractor if you had to pick one?
It'd be close. It is yeah, it's one of my favorites. I wouldn't say it's my favorite one, but it's one of my favorites. So I hate to say it.